Videotaped some 8mm slides I made starting back in 1960. I was a stud ensign flying AD Sky Raiders and VA-145 out of Naval Air Station Miramar, and then a Westpac cruise in Oriskany through A4s, combat cruise 1965, Vigilantes 1974, out of aircraft carrier operations, launches, landings, and it's some pretty good shots, so stick with it. Hang on to your hats. These are films now I took in 1965. I was flying A4s in VA-192, the world famous Golden Dragons. That's Boot Hill, the XO at that time. Pappy Morton, he's dead now. Al Simonson, he's a captain with American Airlines out of San Francisco. Lives in Moraga, as a matter of fact. Mal McKay, he's dead, was killed flying a Vigilante. Oh, I don't know, out of Key West, I forgot the year. That's Skipper Tissot, Gene Tissot. Just a fine man. The guy he's talking to there holding the paper, that's Rick Milson, who later went with the Blue Angels and flew last Blue Angel team with F4s and with F11s, and the first with the Phantoms. Good stick, but I don't know. Tissot was a fine man. John Paul Rogers, he's a captain now with American Airlines out of San Francisco. Perfect Bud, that's what he called himself. Monster Mash, John Parks, Academy guy. I don't know. Neil Taylor there in the middle, he was shot down and killed later. Pappy Morton, he's dead. That's me on the right there, still kicking. Skipper Tissot. And manning up on this is the USS Bonny. That's my roommate there, Dale Louie, later a captain in the Navy. Doing what all? Now, this was the A4 Charlie, which a little underpowered, only had 3 wing stations to hang bombs on, so I always carried either 2 wing tanks or a centerline tank. Usually a centerline 400-gallon centerline tank, and so we could hang more bombs on the 2 wing stations. This is VA-192, Bonny. I.D. Louie. We were roommates on the Bonnie deck there, and our room was called the Chez Louis because that's where we had all the squadron parties, or not all of them, some of them, on the ship. We did have an occasional cocktail, occasional Kool-Aid. Those are bullpups hanging under that airplane there. Big bullpups. It's called the Bullpup B. It was guided from the cockpit. Didn't last too long because you had to hang up there 12,000 feet at idle with the boards out and guide this thing to the target. Meanwhile, they were hammering away at you with all kinds of stuff. And it's a good way to get yourself shot on the ground. That's the meatball Fresnel lens, the optical landing system for the carrier. Coming up, right there is a center, a little low ball there. There's a centered meatball. That's where you want to keep the ball, and then you were on the optimum glide slope to land in the wires and get number 3 wire. Sounds of Witchy Bond. Old Bonny Dick. Pretty one. There's Boot Hill. Shines. Bullpup vessel there. 1,000-pound warhead. A little artistic stuff on the nose of that in there. Bullpup B. Carl Gerlach, I don't know, an investment banker somewhere now. Well, Matty, he's a ground officer maintenance, good guy. Les Sanders went to test pilot school and then surprisingly got out of the Navy. I don't know what he's doing now. Centerline 400-gallon drop tank and a tour on the wing stations there, carried 3 Mark 82 bombs, 500-pounders. USS boat, about ready to crank. Flight deck, Bonny deck. That's a little bullpup. That's a 500-pounder. That's me. That's Mark 83, 1,000-pounder. Hang all this stuff out there and you got 2 lousy bombs. Whatever. Make some toothpicks out of the jungle or knock down a footbridge or something. Hero, Mal McKay, good guy. Dead now. That's a CAG, Gene Tierney. Another super guy. Had everything in perspective. Steve Young, airline somewhere. And Skipper Gene Tissot. Retired as an admiral and got out and worked for, that's Pappy Morton now, he's dead. Gene Tissot got out and went to work for Northrop and still works for Northrop Corporation out of Los Angeles. That's Jeff Osborne. I watched him die off the sharp end of the boat one black night, went off the cat right in front of me and flew in the water. That's Bart Wade there, a maintenance officer, later shot down as a NFO in A6s. Mike Allum, Airlines. Boot Hill, retired admiral. Ed Hickey, greatest cat officer in the Navy. An A4 going off. It's a little slow motion. A4 cat shot off the bow. Good shots. Did this day in and day out. Maybe at least 2 hops a day. Get up in the cat, shoot you off, go fly, drop bombs, come back. Salute the cat officer, and back off you go. Oh, Ed Hickey. Later flew fighters. Don't know what happened to him, but he was one doggone good cat officer. He knew more about your airplane than you did. These are good shots here. This is naval aviation at its best. Best show on earth. Great flying. Old AD. Loaded up for rest cap. Look at that. Got a 250 pounder under each of the 12 outboard wing stations. 2 300-gallon drop tanks. That some gun could stay out there for about 6 hours. Had a rocket pod under one station. On these strikes, he'd get out there and tank up with somebody. This is an A3 tanker. I'll join up there and grab some gas. They'd have so much you're supposed to get, 1,000 or 2,000 pounds, and then you go on your way. So you got a little more fuel when you got in there. Flew up behind that son of a gun and plugged your probe into the drogue. Sexual connotations there, but so be it. I don't know, this was out of Benoit. I was one in there, and this guy lost his generator or something and couldn't transfer fuel, so he was tanking all the way back to the ship. Just dragging him back to the ship, keeping him pumped up with gas. Dropped him off on the ball. Now, I had a wind-up camera, wind-up movie camera, and I set up there and wound it up and got it going. And then I lined up to the spring wound down, so I didn't get the engagement, the consummation. Anyway, this gives you some idea. You got to just stick the old probe in that basket. Otherwise, you don't get any fuel. I remember taking this Neil Taylor flying that A4 joining up there. He was later shot down and killed. He was one of my best friends in the squadron. Good guy. Nice guy. Really a shame. From Rangeley, Maine. Super good guy and a good stick. Hated that. A4 gun sight. En route to the target. That's an early on configuration here with 2 drop tanks, because we didn't fly with 2 drop tanks very long. That was early in the cruise. Tanker, at the tanker pod there. Now this was in South Vietnam somewhere. I can't remember exactly where I took these, but it was in some huge battle down there south of Saigon in the Delta. I remember we were running in there and they had all kinds of bad guys here and there and good guys, bad guys. This is at Benoit, just outside Saigon. Dropped in there for something. I think I lost a generator or something. I'd go in there and unload the bombs and then fly it out to the ship. There's an AD-5. That's an Air Force F-100 that was in front there. These are those Hueys that, of course, Apocalypse Now, go into Benoit and those flocks of those Hueys were going off hither and yon. That's an old bird dog there, in fact. I think this was up north somewhere. As you can see the thing going on. Just didn't really want it. Well, there's a bomb down there along that canal line. Strafing there. You can see the puffs behind the airplane from the 20 Mike Mike. Just blowing down these buildings up there, and this was, I don't know where this was. They told us to blow these buildings down. Hard to tell what's going on here. It's get a little long there. That's a good hit right in the middle. I don't know what all that was. This is supposed to be, I took some just shooting bullets in the jungle here. I'm just fooling around here, trying to get some shots of straight. Back to the boat. That's the USS Bonny Shard. Feet wet and alive again. Bolter. Hook missed a wire. Must have been the other squadron. FAU. God, that airplane brought the mail aboard. Got a blown tire there. This guy took hits. He was shot up and couldn't get his wheels down, so we took him in a net. Put the airplane up on the wheels, put it ashore, and it was flying again in no time. Didn't hurt the guy at all. Scooter, that little A4 was a wonderful airplane. You could shoot it full of holes and it'd still fly, as you'll see here in a minute. There's Skipper Tissot. Yeah, that's Rick Melson there. Took a 37mm right through the wing, just blew a hole, as you can see, heckin' gone through that wing. Mike Allen was a tanker pilot and dragged him back stern the ship. He landed aboard. You can see that A4 will fly with a hole like that through the wing. Apparently the 37mm round didn't explode, it just punched a hole in his wing. If it had detonated, of course, it would have blown the wing off. was lucky. That's the skipper, Gene Tissot. It's an off-the-line party. Most of us are alive and we're going home. Carl Gerlach, Al Simonson there, captain with American. Having his soul left, no Boot Hill took over command of the squadron. So, little festivities there. VA-192 world famous Golden Dragon.